So this one is in regards to making mistakes. We are only human and we are going to move outside our house or even within our house. We will say things or we will do things which will sometimes be wrong and might hurt the other person. So it's very difficult for people who are sensitive to even let go after they've made a mistake, and they go so deep into a state of depression that for months it so happens that they are just reliving that same incident that happened. So for example, I made a mistake at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, and I'll be reliving that mistake up to 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m. And once I analyze what my mistake was, once I apologize to the person for what I did wrong, and I made a promise to myself that I would not make the same mistake again, a normal person now moves on to new activities and remembers the learning and even makes the same mistake again in the future, or doesn't, but they move on. What happens with us is we make a mistake. Certainly we are firstly trying to be perfect in everything that we do, so we do rarely make mistakes, and when we do it, it's like a havoc, it's like an earthquake that has come into your body, that how can I make a mistake. So there is certainly a level of ego involved, that we think that I am very high or superior in consciousness, that I cannot make a mistake, or that how could I make a mistake. We process things firstly on the level of ego, that how could I make a mistake, and that's a barrier, and that would bring you suffering. Yes, you are superior in certain ways, but in some things you aren't. Some things you have exposure to, some things you don't. Even after knowing anything and everything, it will so happen that you'll move outside and there would be something that would be new and you won't know how to deal with it, and there would be a mistake. Now there are two options to go through it. You can either just be exhausted that life has ended, I made a mistake which was kind of small for the other person, they are not even thinking about it, they have forgotten about it. You are thinking about the consequences of that act. So I did this, now this person is affected in this manner, and this person told this person, and this person would be affected in this manner, and what would come, and you go on doing this, and after 3 hours of contemplation your head would start to pain, and you'll be like, you have to sleep and take a nap just to get energized back. Now when and until when will we keep following this pattern? And we have to certainly see it, that it's coming from a level of goodness also, that we don't really want to make a mistake again in the future. At the same time, it's also coming from the area of ego, and this ego is, how can I make a mistake? Obviously this ego is trying to improve oneself, but it is also harming the process. If you've learned it, if you've learned what the mistake is, how long would you keep hitting yourself? How long would you keep telling yourself that you made a mistake? How many times would you tell it? How many times would you hit yourself? Not practical hitting, please don't do that if you do, but in your own mind, your how can I do this, मेरे से ऐसा क्यों हो गया, मैं ऐसा नहीं करता, if I could have done it in a different way, I will never do it again. Obviously this is the learning process that we've been following, emotionally feeling wounded and then contemplating for it for the days, and then going into our own small hole and then coming out of it and yet being wounded with it. But we should take this, that we will make mistakes. We are not that superior. We are normal, ordinary people who are learning every day, and every day there would be a new mistake. Obviously we are trying to not make mistakes, but when at times you do, how long would you be thrashing and thrashing yourself? You have to see that it's my ego at work. I feel that I am something big, that I cannot make mistakes. Or you'll be contemplating on dynamics beyond your reasoning, that I made a mistake with this person then said it to this one, and it would certainly come back and impact me. Let it come and impact you. If it's your mistake that you made, let it come and impact you. You think about it then. In the present moment, you are wounded, and it's not just a mental wound, it's a wound in your heart. You feel it here, and this wound is learning itself. If you've done something wrong and you're sensitive and pure, you would feel something heavy here, and that's enough in a way, because pain teaches you. Now to contemplate and contemplate and contemplate and control and control and control and apologize and be perfect, and who are you trying to prove? Yourself. What? That I cannot make mistakes, that I should not have made mistakes, that I will never make mistakes. You certainly will, sir. So what's the point? Point is to be accepting of one's own faults, that I am not perfect, that I will make mistakes, and certainly I will have to forgive the other person, myself, and also deal with the consequences that come with it. Rather than crying and going into a hole and just being there, you should be in a state of even-mindedness where you are like, I will feel wounded for 3 to 4 days because of this event, and I won't blame anyone else. I know that there was a part in which I made a mistake. I know that I can consciously contemplate on it for 1 hour. But after that, how long will I keep contemplating because of the wound that I am feeling here? You look at this wound, but don't keep thinking of this wound. This will pass. Your processing is even making it heavier. You can tell yourself that, okay, right now it's too much for me. I'll think after 4 days. You can tell yourself that I already apologized and I promise that I won't make the mistakes that I made. I will think about the dynamics on a later day. But since you're feeling a certain sense of anxiety and depression, or maybe your own ego is hurt that you cannot make mistakes or any other thing inside you, you keep contemplating on it. And the more you contemplate on it, the more you will come to some realizations. But if you keep doing this on every mistake, you are kind of feeling that you cannot make mistakes, and you'll suffer the same on a daily basis. And that's not right. You're sensitive, you're pure, you made a mistake. You rarely make mistakes. It's okay. Even this, that I rarely make mistakes, I don't make mistakes, is your ego, which would come to hurt you when you make mistakes. At the same time, would uplift you to not making mistakes. So it is to be kept, and you are to improve upon yourself. But how much pain are you going to take after every situation, after every circumstance, after everything that goes wrong? You limit it, or else you'll always be keeping crying on your bed after the thing happened, and you'll always be like in a state like this, even though they also made a part of the mistake and the other person also made a part of their mistake. Yes, you were a part of the mistake, but how long would you be carrying this on your heart? And would you just always be like this? No, once is enough. One apology is enough. Let them think whatever, let them change their behavior. If they were really good people who really loved you, they will stay with you. If not, they were really not with you. They were just utilizing you until the time that was there. So stop being so rude to yourself. Stop being so aggressive to yourself. We have to uplift ourselves. That is a good part. That is our sadhana. But how much to be aggressive and how much to taunt yourself? See this self-talk that's happening right now. You should be like, I don't know about others, but if I were my own friend and if this bottle is my friend, I think that if I talk to this bottle would tell me that it's okay, Piyush, you made a mistake. You did what you could. Yes, you would do things differently in the future, but Piyush, it's okay. It's okay. Stop thinking about it now. How long will you be thrashing and just telling yourself how wrong you were? It's only a small mistake. You didn't do much wrong. Until when? So this bottle is being humble to me because it's seeing me as another person, and you would do the same to someone else. When someone else tells you that they made a mistake, why can't we be humble to ourselves? Even after we are wrong, we will learn. Obviously, we will. But how long are you to stay in that phase of what did I do? Why did I do this? I shouldn't have done this. And this is seen with people who are sensitive, always thinking about being perfect, somehow are in a state of anxiety because of their own beliefs of how pure or sensitive or conscious they are, or their perfection, the state of that I cannot do anything wrong, and when they do, this belief gets shattered too, and it needs to be shattered. So the suffering that we are going through, it's obviously we created it. There is a situation, but the situation is like a small hole. It's like this big, but this is the size that we create because of our own belief systems, because of our own state of mind, because of our own karma, to not able to see this situation as this much, that we are creating it this much because of me, my I couldn't do this, I cannot do this, how could I make a mistake? So be a bottle to yourself, be a little humble to yourself, learn, uplift yourself, even be sad for some time. And obviously you are feeling the wound here, so it would make you feel that feeling. Take the teaching from that feeling and contemplate a bit, right? But forgive yourself after some time, or else the consequences that your relationship would be traumatized. Next time you see that person or you come into that same situation, you'll be very anxious, whereas you are supposed to be very cautious. Not even very cautious, just cautious, or else you'll be living in a state of anxiety where you're always like this, totally, completely conscious and aware of whatever it is that I'm doing, which is right in some ways, but one day this becomes a heightened state of anxiety where I cannot make a mistake. So being cautious itself, being aware of your own thought processes and the other people, and actually controlling the situation in a very structured manner, or just being present and aware, sometimes lead us to a state of anxiety, because too much wakefulness also creates anxiety. What are the drugs doing to you? They are just pacifying your mind and even the muscles in your body, so that you are now comparatively less conscious. You have to maintain consciousness but not be hyper aware. Hyper awareness, it's like there is fire around this room, I am living like this, there is no fire here, but you are expecting it, or you are that aware, you're like this. This is not the heightened state of mindfulness. Mindfulness is you're calm, you're peaceful, you're aware that you're feeling this wound here, you're aware that your ego came in, you're aware that you made someone else feel hurt, you're aware that there would be consequences, you're aware that you will apologize, you did apologize, you're aware that okay, that moment has now passed, now I'm at my home. How long would I think about the past? For a small moment, just to learn and to see what I will not do in the future. And then I'll engage in other activities. I'll stay in this state of calmness because this wound is heavy. I'll write certain things. I'll engage myself in different activities. And this wound itself will also teach me, and some thought processes will also teach me. But how long? So see what hypervigilance could do to you. See what this level of I in you, that I cannot make mistakes, can do to you. And then thirdly, the major important part is you think that the other person feels as hurt as you would. We project how bad we would feel if we were in that position, or how anxious we would be, or how we would think. The other person might not be that sensitive, might not think too much about it, might just be a person who shouts and goes away, and they don't really think about it. And usually that's the case. People usually are very normal. They are like, they just say things and then they move away and they don't think about it. But since we do, we think that they are thinking too. So we are projecting our part, our whole life, what we do, how we think onto them. And they are just gone. They are drawing a painting, they are in a different school, they are in a different coaching, they are studying, they are handling something else. And you are thinking of what they are thinking, and it really doesn't make much of a difference. So this is just a video that I made for some people, that we need to grow, we need to outgrow our own patterns, our own belief systems, and we have to see that the problem was this big, our I made it this big, and in this I there is a small part that is good, that we won't make the same mistake again. But this constant contemplation is actually a waste of time. Feeling and keep feeling the wound, because it would not go away, because you feel that you did wrong, that feeling is sufficient enough. Will you just keep hitting yourself, or will you talk to your bottle, a humble friend to you, who will tell you that it's okay, it's okay, we'll manage in the future whatever comes, and we already did what we did, and we'll not be too cautious, or else hyper vigilance and anxiety. So talk to yourself like you have a friend, and what your humble friend would be telling you, tell that to yourself. Don't be so rude, but also see that you are to forgive yourself, and you are to just take it easy, take it a bit easy. You can still uplift yourself to this stage. As I told you, that a mindful person would also be living the same thing, but their perspective would be like, it would happen, it does happen, it happened with me, in a state of calmness. And you're like this, already telling your body that you've murdered someone, whereas you have not even murdered someone, you've just made a small mistake, but you are creating it from this to this. Don't, just take the learning and move on.